Hey everybody, this is Sue Craig, your Stampin' Up! Demonstrator here in Cleveland, Ohio, and today I have another card for you. This is called a reverse easel card. I saw this on Jeannie Stark's blog and I wanted to reproduce it, and I changed it a little bit because for my groups I made it into a display for their calendar. Each year we make a calendar that sits on a table, a desk, a counter, something like that. And this is what I have for this year. So take a look. It folds up flat, so you could make it into just a regular card. It's called a reverse easel because if you look at this, it goes backwards instead of forwards. And it lays flat, so you could put it in an envelope and mail it if you like. And again, you don't have to put the calendar in there. You could put your sentiment in there on a piece of white paper, and off you go. So let me show you how to make this. The supplies we're going to need. One thing that I really liked that was in the spring catalog is the Balmy blue ribbon, and I think it's because I just love this type of ribbon. It's gingham, and what I did was I made bows from it to add to the front of our project. Another thing that we're going to be using is the Friendly Foliage stamp set. We're going to be using this stamp and this one as well. This has not only these really nice images that could be used for masculine or feminine cards, it also has some really nice sayings. Here for you always, wishing you all the best, get well soon, sending love, you're on my mind and in my heart, and thinking of you. Now you can see this is in the new packaging. This stamp set and the dies are in the online exclusives, and that's what the OE means here. I always mark my stamps so when people in class ask me, where can I find this? I know where to tell them to look. These new packages are the same size for stamps and for dies. So for this set, I have them both in the same package. I like it that way because I don't like hunting for the dies if I have the stamps. I want it all together. And I saw online some different demonstrators were showing how they were using these things, and they just took the flap that typically would go here and slide under. They were taking this flap and putting it between the paper here. You see where there's a front and a back? And I have the stamps and the dies, and so I have the dies facing one way and the stamps another. So you just tuck this flap in there, and now when you want to use it, you just push on the sides, it opens up, and you pull out what it is that you want. I think that's a nice, easy way to be able to get to your items and still have them stored together. But that's my preference. You may like them separate. So let's see what we're going to be using. I have a mini catalog, not a catalog, a mini calendar right here. I get these from Tailored Expressions, but you could print your own if you like. I have a Night of Navy card base, and this is 4 1/4 by 11. I scored it in half at 5 1/2. I also scored it at 2 3/4. So you can see right here. Maybe you can't, but I'll fold it. 2 3/4 and 5 1/2. So actually it's just in half. If you folded it in half and then folded it back on itself, that's how you make this type of card. Okay? We're not going to worry about the folding just yet. You're going to need another piece of Night of Navy paper, and this is 3 inches by 4 1/2. you're going to need 2 pieces of white. Now one of them is going to go, where's our card? Let me show you. One of them is going to be our background, and we're going to stamp this on it. The other one, we're going to stamp the image on it, and then we'll cut it out with the dies. So we need 2 pieces. To me, it was just easier to do the 2 pieces the same size. Obviously, this die cut could have been a little smaller. I mean, the paper for the die cut. I just did it the same size. And the white paper is 2 3/4 across by 4 1/4. Okay, so one of these is for the image, and one is the one we'll stamp on. Your designer paper. The designer paper is called True Blue, and this is the featured, oh boy, the featured product of the month for December. And it is still available, so you can still purchase it with a $75 purchase. So you can get this 12 by 12 pack of paper. It's beautiful. I just love the blues in it. It's got Balmy Blue and Night of Navy in it. But you can purchase it for $5 in your order. And when you're ordering, when you hit $75, you'll get a pop-up on the screen that says, hey, you can order this if you like. You don't have to. Anyway, we're going to take 1 piece of our designer paper, and this is 4 by 5 1/4, and that's going to go here in the back. And then you're going to have another piece that is 2 1/2 by 4 inches. All of these measurements are going to be on my blog and also in the description below, so don't worry about writing them down. And then of course we have our bow. And with the bow we're going to need our glue dots. And we're going to need adhesive. Alright. So let's get started. I'm going to take my 2 white pieces because that's where the stamping is going to take place. We're going to take this first of all. And because this is a large stamp, I put my large stamps facing up like that. And then I push down with the ink pad on the stamp. And this one was used for class, so it's going to need a little bit of a refill soon. I'm stamping on a pad of paper, otherwise I would have my piercing mat or something there to give this some give as I stamp. It doesn't matter if it's not perfectly straight because this is going to get cut out. This is a pretty cool die. Okay, that's our image, and I'm going to take that to the machine and cut it out. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to take our other piece of white paper and our Balmy Blue ink, and we're going to add those 2 lines at the top and the bottom. Doesn't matter which way you make these lines go. I just kind of gave myself same amount of space on each side, so it's kind of centered. Alright, and then I'm going to run this through, and when I run it through, this is what I get. This is pretty cool because you don't have to use it just on the white if you didn't want to. You could put something behind it, like the navy. The navy lets you see more of the cutout. I could even have taken a piece of Balmy Blue and added it behind. This has a small pattern in it. That doesn't look too bad, but that's another idea of how you could use this. Another idea I really want to try is to take some Balmy Blue paper and use an embossing folder and see what the embossing looks like behind that. But I like how this looks. That's kind of pretty too. All right, so ideas for you, ideas for me. What I did in my classes, instead of using glue or adhesive, I turned this over and I put our mini dimensionals on areas where it was thick enough where they would not show. Or wide enough, I mean, not thick enough, but wide enough. So I liked the idea that I was able to, excuse me, that I was able to lift it up a bit so that it would stick out, because I don't have anything behind it. Maybe if I had something behind it, I wouldn't feel the need to raise it up like this, but I liked how it looked. So we're going to take this off. There's a bunch of release papers here, so I'm just going to pull this off to the side and put it on something so that I can throw them away easily and not have them all over my craft room or my studio. All right, so all I did was take this and set it down kind of where I wanted it. Take a look at it, and if you like it, fine, leave it, and if not, move it. I think it looks a little bit crooked, so I'm going to lift these up, and you notice I did not push down very hard on these dimensionals, so it's not difficult to lift them up. And what I find too is that when I'm working like this, if I can't lean over and see it, it's harder to line it up. So a lot of times if I'm working on something like this and I want to line it up, sometimes what I do is I hold it up like this so that it's easier to see more of the image here. There we go. Okay. We're going to take this then and we're going to add some adhesive to the back. I know in one of my other videos I said, you know, you don't need a lot of adhesive. If you have a good adhesive, you shouldn't need to put line after line after line of adhesive on your card. I make a lot of cards, I donate a lot of cards, and I've not had any problem with how I do what I do. Alright, so our front panel is finished, and I'm going to take a glue dot here and add it. The easiest way is to take your item, whatever it is, in this case it's my bow, and I'm going to stick it directly on the glue dot and then pull it off. The glue dot now is on the bow, and again I'm going to hold this up so that I can see this, and I'm going to experiment. Do I want it higher? Do I want it lower? And then I'll just press this on. When I do bows, especially for classes, I make them a little bit longer so that people can decide how they want to put the tails on. Some people just like a slanted tail. Other people like to take their tails and fold the ribbon in half like this and then go from the fold on a diagonal, and that gives us the banner style. This is a little bit narrow, but not impossible to cut. I like that because it looks, to me, I like the look of it, maybe because it looks a little different. And because these were stored in an envelope, these are a little bit flat, so you can take anything, put it inside, and lift the bow so it has a nicer look to it. So that whole part is finished. Now all we need to do is to add our designer paper. So we're going to take the large one. Oh, and let me show you. This designer paper is just beautiful. You can decide if you want this to match, or you can turn your papers so they are the front and back of what you were given or what you have. And I told people in class to try it both ways because sometimes one looks better than the other. And to keep in mind that they're both going to be partially covered. And I think I want to do it this way. So let's add our adhesive to the back. You can see I'm just using a short line of adhesive by the corners. I hold opposite corners and hover over my paper. When I have it straight, I set it down. All right, this is, when I was teaching, I was telling students, this is the way that would be easiest for you. Close the whole card, and then flip this panel back. And then what we'll do is we will add adhesive to the back of the cardstock or the designer paper that we want, and we'll put it right on here. And with this, the same thing, what I'm going to do is leave it flat, and I'm going to take my top image panel and I'm going to put it where I think it's going to look nice. And here's what I do. I turn it over. I don't want to have adhesive all over the card. And so what I do is, I can see here, this is where the card base is, or the paper ends. And so I want to stay above that when I do my adhesive. And if I put the adhesive just on this navy blue piece, I'm not going to have any of the stickiness on the rest of my card, and I'm not going to go down below this part. So again, I'm going to close this and then line this up. Okay. Now all you have to do is take your calendar and add adhesive to it. You're not going to need a lot, and you're not going to need a heavy-duty adhesive for this like our tear and tape, because it's going to sit on a desk or a shelf. It's not going to go anywhere. So a lot of people did this. They took their calendar and put it on this panel back here, the one that I just put on, and then they closed their card. Okay, and now you lift this up, and now you have your easel part of your card. Again, if you don't want to use a calendar, you could put a greeting in here, and you could put a greeting out here. But this is a calendar that's going to last all year, so I thought I would leave it blank as far as words go, and then people could decide if they want to add words, they can do that. But I like this idea. It's called a reverse easel card. I hope you like the card. I hope you give it a try, and thanks for watching.